The police still trying to establish the identity of the occupants.
To persuade the terrorists to give down their arms. One other important piece of information.
26 नवंबर 2008 मुंबई की सड़कों ने झेला अब तक का सबसे बड़ा आतंकी हमला। समंदर की लहरों ने देखी सबसे बड़ी कुर्बानी। देश के जाबाजों ने देश की खातिर लुटा दी अपनी जिंदगी। जरा याद करो वो कुर्बानी। रात के 11:25 हुए थे। आतंकवादियों के खात्मे के लिए आतंकवाद निरोधी दस्ते के प्रमुख हेमंत करकरे पुलिस बल के साथ कामा अस्पताल पहुंच चुके थे। एडिशनल कमिश्नर ईस्ट रीजन अशोक कामटे और इंस्पेक्टर विजय सालस्कर भी करकरे की मदद के लिए फौरन कामा अस्पताल आ गए। 3 जाबाज और तीनों के सिर पर जुनून देश को उन नापाक मंसूबे वालों से आजाद कराने का। अस्पताल घेरने की तैयारी हो गई थी। अस्पताल के बाहर थी जाबाजों की टीम और अंदर थे वो आतंकवादी। गोलियां तनातन चल रही थी, लेकिन बेखौफ जाबाजों को जिंदगी की परवाह नहीं थी। वो लड़ रहे थे और सिर्फ लड़ रहे थे। जरा याद करो वो कुर्बानी।
Honorable K. Veeramani, the President of Dravid Kazhagam, Honorable V.T. Rajshekhar, my friend Ghulam Muhammad, Kumaresan, other honorable persons on the dais, and honorable guests. I was supposed to be ranked as one of the best officers when I was in service. I could face any law and order problem, I could face any crowd, but I cannot face such a crowd because I'm not a very good speaker. I'm not used to delivering lectures. But now I will try to give my speech of acceptance. At the outset, I must be thankful to Honorable Veeramani ji, Honorable Rajshekhar ji, and all his colleagues for inviting me for such a grand function. I must tell you, even Mr. Rajshekhar was present when the first edition of my book was published. But in Maharashtra, in Mumbai, my own state, even the attendance was not 1/3 of what it is today. So credit goes to the movement started by Ramaswamy Periyar ji and his disciple, Mr. Veeramani ji. I am really thankful to them. The title of my book, as Mr. Veeramani now say, Who Killed Karkare? It doesn't merely mean that one person was killed by a group of persons. It means many things. It means that the perverted ideologies in the society are killing the ideals in the society, the truth in the society, the honesty in the society. This is the symbolic name. This book is a little voluminous. Some people suggested to me that you should have published a small booklet only on this Mumbai incident of 26/11. I could have done that. But people would not have understood why the IB the security agency of a country which is responsible for the security of this nation endanger the security of our nation. How could they do that and why did they do that? So I had to give the background. The background is not only of 100 years. The background of thousands of years. So in brief, I tried to give that background, and that's why I had to write this voluminous book. This book can be viewed in many angles. It can be studied at many levels. But the very important and very serious point that I will brief first, and if time permits, then I will touch upon the other parts of the book. The most serious part of this book is, as I told you just now, the organization which is responsible for the security of this country endangered the security only to save their own community, on their own caste, their own group. That is the very serious aspect of this book. Those who have purchased book, I will request them to read chapter 6 first. Chapter 6 relates to this Bombay incident. Part of it was a truth, part of it was a fiction. The title of the book, the chapter is just Who Killed Karkare? Mumbai terror attack is a reality, but its CST Kama Rangabhavan lame episode is shrouded in mystery. It is the title of this thing. Why I have given this title and how much truth is there in this? You know, this attack took place on 27th of November 2008. This attack was by elite of Pakistan, so far as our knowledge or our information is concerned. But this information was known to IB at least 1 week in advance. Because there is some rivalry between two agencies, intelligence agencies of America. One of the agencies leaked this information to RAW, our intelligence agency, which deals with the external affairs. As it was an internal matter, that information was very specific. The information was a ship of LET had started from Karachi on 18th of November. Its longitude and latitudes are 34, 33, 30. And when this information was given, its distance from Karachi port was about 30 nautical miles. So specific was the information. This specific information was passed on to the IB by the RAW the next day, that is on the 19th. While giving this information, RAW also gave the telephone numbers of 35 mobile phones which the RAW had planted on LET through their sources. There is a system. And they requested IB to keep all these telephone numbers under observation so that their minute-to-minute movement could be known. Now after knowing this information, after receiving this information, what the IB should have done was to pass this on to the Mumbai police to whom it concerned, because the information was they have started to attack on some hotels in Mumbai. But surprisingly, they did not give this information to Mumbai police or to Maharashtra government. They should have also given this information to the Western Naval Command, through whose waters, through the territory of which the ship was to pass. But surprisingly, they did not give this information to Western Naval Command. Had this information been given to Western Naval Command, they would have blown it off or drowned it in no time, in 1 second. Because Western Naval Command is a very powerful force. It has many big ships, it has many planes, and its force. So in India, the most powerful part of the Navy is Western Naval Command. So no ship, small or big, can pass through their waters without their permission. But surprisingly, Western Naval Command was also not informed. And they say that we forgot to keep these 35 telephone numbers under observation. But if we see the whole thing in totality, we can presume that they kept all the telephone numbers under observation, and whatever information they received, they misused it for some dubious purpose. And they allowed the ship to come to the Indian shores. Why did they do so? Why did they allow this LET ship to come to Indian shores? Because they wanted to have a parallel operation inside the city to kill Karkare. In my first chapter, I said how IB has been groomed ever since the inception of RSS. Even before independence, they have groomed the IB, and they have infiltrated their cadres in the IB, and they have ideologically made them a Brahmanical force. So they wanted to kill Karkare to save these Brahminist forces. And they were getting this information about the minute-to-minute information about the ship, but they were not giving it to Mumbai police, they were not giving it to Western Naval Command, but they were giving it to Brahminist terrorists who were planning to kill Karkare. Then the second question is, why they were planning to kill Karkare? What was that which Karkare had exposed? Karkare had exposed the very serious matter. Now Mr. Veeramani said I deserve some title for saving the constitution. Sir, I would like to tell you, it is not me, it is that Hemant Karkare who deserve the highest title in the land. Because it is he who saved this constitution, it is who he saved this country. Because while investigating into the Malegaon blast case of 2008, just before this Malegaon blast took place sometime in June, July, August, somewhere, and he has taken over as the chief of the anti-terrorist squad in January of that year. And while investigating into this offense, he came across such explosive evidence. He put the main conspirator, Lieutenant Colonel Purohit, through narco-analysis test. and he could seize the laptops of two important persons, that is Colonel Purohit and Dayanand Pandey. And these two persons had a habit of putting into the laptop all the proceedings of, what is that organization? Abhinav Bharat. They had formed this organization that was nothing but RSS, but inner core RSS. When we call RSS, they try to give it a face of general Hindus. But they don't want RSS. Their RSS of their idea was different. They wanted purely Brahminist or Brahminical RSS. And that is why within the RSS they have formed this Abhinav Bharat organization. And proceedings of all the meetings of this organization, all their communication was being fed in these laptops. So when Karkare got hold of the laptops and saw and heard their proceedings, he was aghast, he was surprised. He shared this information with some important ministers in Maharashtra government. They were not only surprised, but they were scared. And they requested him not to give it a wide publicity, otherwise the whole community will turn against them. So much is the fear of this community. The Home Minister himself told Karkare not to give it a wide publicity. So what was in those laptops? They had a plan. They had a plan to establish, to overthrow this present government, overthrow this constitution, and establish not only Hindu Rashtra, but they have specifically said Aryavarth Hindu Rashtra. If you could read chapter 8, they have said Aryavarth Hindu Rashtra. And for that, what they have been doing, in chapter number 2, I have given their preparations. What preparation they have been doing. They have been giving training to their cadres. Training not only in lathis, not only in weapons, not only in ammunition, but in explosives. And that training was not only classroom training, they were also giving demonstrations. So such training camps were being held in Nagpur, in Pune, in Goa and elsewhere. At a time, in one of the news items, they have said at a time training was going on at 53 places. So all this information, because they were preparing for this, they were collecting funds, they were holding meetings, and you name any important BJP leader, any important RSS leader, and you will see that they attended this meeting or any of these meetings. So names of all the sympathizers, all the supporters, all the political leaders, all the religious leaders are there in the laptop. They have collected funds worth crores of rupees from the builders, from the corporates, from the industrialists, and from so many people. The list of all important persons was in the laptop. And to cap it all, they were having discussions with the government of Israel and King of Nepal. And King of Nepal had agreed to train their cadre and also to purchase, what is that, 47? AK-47 from Czech Republic. They requested the king to purchase, because these AK-47s are not given to individuals, only to nations. countries. He requested the king to purchase those weapons, and he said, but we'll pay for that. So you can imagine how much money they must be having. Then they approach Israel. They say, you give recognition to our government in exile. You train our cadres. You take up your issue in the UNO. And some such 4 demands they made. Out of them, Israel accepted 2. So such a big conspiracy was going on, and everybody was recorded in those laptops. All the proceedings. Yeah, RDX came from the army, that main conspirator. Purohit, he was intelligence chief of the army, and he was taking away the RDX from the army depots. That has also come in this thing. All these factors, they have been recorded in these laptops. So they had the fear that if the laptops were made public and this investigation is taken to its logical aid, these leaders would not have face to come in the public or face the public. So that was their apprehension, and that is why they tried to pressurize Karkare in many ways. They tried to pressurize him politically, they tried to pressurize him religiously. But he did not budge, so ultimately they decided to eliminate him. And that is why the IB took such a big risk. Somebody asked me, if they wanted to eliminate, they could have eliminated him just like that. They would have killed him on the road, they could have shot him down. But how to kill such persons, that was also decided in their meeting. In one of the meetings, Purohit says that before Karkare, they had identified about 70 persons who they thought were against the Hindu Rashtra. And they decided to eliminate all 70. But he said, we want to eliminate them, but we don't want to eliminate them just like that. Otherwise, we will be stamped as criminals. We should eliminate them in some operation, like they did in case of Karkare, and that is why this operation was arranged. Now, this is a very serious thing because our whole security is with the IB. IB is supposed to be the eyes of ears of our government. It is supposed to be the most important organization, security organization in the country, premier organization in the country. If such an organization is endangering our own security, then we can imagine what is the future of our nation, what is the future of our country, what is the future of our constitution. That is why I am saying that Karkare must be rewarded, Karkare must be honored with the highest national honor because he has saved our constitution and he has saved our government. Now in my book, I have collected many press cuttings from various national dailies, and I tried to show how the two groups, the group that attacked the hotels on the shores and the group that attacked CST, Kama Hospital and Rangamon Lane where Karkare was killed were different. I have given as many as 11 points to show that these two groups were different. They were not the same. As somebody mentioned in his lecture, that they were speaking, the terrorists in Kama Hospital were speaking fluent Marathi. It appeared in one of the newspapers. Then the Secretary of the Health Department, a senior IAS officer, went to Kama Hospital. He made inquiry with those employees, and next day he told the Times of India that yes, I made the inquiry, and the employees said that they were speaking fluent Marathi. Pardon me? Yeah, because first it appeared in Maharashtra Times. That was just a news. But next day, this IAS officer went to the hospital. He inquired with the employees, and he declared that yes, they were speaking fluent Marathi. Nobody can deny it. Secondly, unfortunately for them and fortunately for all of us, a VoIP system which was used by the real terrorist was found on the boat after a couple of days. VoIP system is used to speak with other countries on mobile phones. So from the VoIP system, the investigating authorities came to know that the 8 persons who had played havoc in the hotels, they contacted their bosses in Pakistan for 284 times. 284 times. But those who killed Karkare and who killed many people in CST, Kama and Rangabon Lane did not contact them even once. What did it show? Third important point is 2 mobile phones. While the police were chasing the 2 terrorists in CST, 2 mobile phones fell down from the terrorists. And later they found that all these 2 SIM cards were traced to Satara in Maharashtra district, Maharashtra state. In only one day, in a couple of Marathi papers, news appeared that those SIM cards were used to contact somebody outside by the terrorists, and one very influential person from Satara was involved in this. But later no investigation was done and it was suppressed. A lady, fisherman lady, had seen 6 persons getting down from the rubberized dinghy. The story of the police that 8 got down at the place where the lady was sitting and 2 went in the same dinghy towards Oberoi Hotel. But the lady denied this fact. She said only 6 got down, and definitely there were not 8 people. Later she identified the bodies of all 6 in the JJ hospital. In spite of pressurizing her, she stuck to her guns. Ultimately, she was unofficially and forcibly taken to America, and she was pressurized. But she only told the truth. So ultimately her name was deleted from the list of witnesses, and a minor offense was again registered against him for misguiding the investigating authorities. There are so many such things. This Koda theory, the encounter, now everything is proving to be wrong. Now, one wife of one of the deceased who died along with Karkare, that officer's name was Ashok Kamte. His wife has also written a book. She sought some information under Right to Information Act. She got the CDs and wireless logs of the wireless communication of the control room. And on that basis, she alleged some officers saying that Karkare was calling, requesting to send forces to Kama hospital for half an hour, but there was no response from the control room. Therefore, she made allegations that the officer, the chief of the crime branch of Mumbai city, Rakesh Maria, who was in charge of the control room, was responsible for the death of Karkare and Kamte. But next day, Times of India, quoting police sources, gave information and quoting the police logs. See, what that lady is saying is not correct. Not correct means she was not telling the lie, but she was not given the full information. She was given only the half information. The other half information was that the forces were sent to the Kama hospital, but the logs and CDs in respect of that conversation were not furnished to her intentionally. Because had they furnished this information, many things would have came out. Because there were no two persons in that area, there were 6 persons. 2 in CST, 2 in Kama hospital and 2 in the Rangabhavan lane. And in the Rangabhavan lane, they were waiting for about half an hour and they were moving there. People were seeing them from their balconies and giving to inform in the control room. But in spite of that, no force was set inside the lane, though about 150 persons were present in Kama hospital front gate, which is a few feet away from that lane. Which says, then the important question is, who was the officer in charge of the front gate of the Kama hospital? Now, why they are so much scared? The IB and the police who are involved in this conspiracy are scared because this case can be easily detected. Because there are 2 mobiles, their SIM cards are available with the police. The SIM cards of Karkare is available, they are available with the police. The wireless communication, record of wireless communication is available with the police. The name of the officer who was in charge of that Kama hospital front gate is available with the police. But they are not ready to part with this information. If a reinvestigation is made in this case, we can definitely point out who are the conspirators and who are the perpetrators. Definitely. If a person like me is made in charge of the investigation, I will definitely point out their names. I will catch them by their collars and put up before the public or in the court. So simple is the case, and that's why they are scared. Kassab, according to my theory, is a person who was in the stock, because IB has many people in their stock. So whenever they are caught on the borders or in Kashmir or elsewhere, and they kept in the stock only to use for such purposes. So, but still, I am not giving him a clean chit because the Mumbai police have done the investigation. They have brought many things on record. I am saying it on the basis of whatever information was available to me. The reports appeared in important newspapers, some charge sheet, and whatever information about wireless communication was available to me. But I am forming a alternative theory. And when an alternative theory is formed in such a case, then it calls for reinvestigation. And that's why I have demanded a reinvestigation of this case by an independent authority. So far as my theory is concerned, I don't know whether Kassab was one of them won over by this group, by the Brahmanis. Brahmanis can win over anybody. Or he was one of those from the stock of the IB. But the way he was kept alive, I do not believe that he was won over by the IB. He was produced at the last moment to tell this false story fabricated by the IB and the intelligence agencies. This is my theory. And the photographs that they have published, it is impossible to take photographs at such a situation The first photograph that appeared in Mumbai Mirror was credited to one photographer, D'Souza. Next day, the same photograph appeared in Marathi paper Pudari. It said he took it from CCTV. On the other side of on the same day, on the other side of the staircase, a photograph of the same terrorist was taken by one photographer of Maharashtra Times. As an exclusive photograph he published on the same day, on this day. And on the same day, its rival publication, Lokmat, published the same photograph. So there are many suspicions and doubts, and they can only be cleared after this investigation is completed. And first and foremost question that need to be asked is, why the IB, after getting such an information, did not pass it on to Mumbai police, and why it did not pass on to the Western Naval Command. Had they do so, this attack would not have occurred. So the IB and the Brahminist forces responsible for the Malegaon attack and Halsara attack are responsible for the death of so many 100 people. They died in this attack. This is my charge. Ghaffur was removed because technically they say he was promoted. Technically. Because the post of Commissioner of Police, Mumbai, is of the rank of additional DG Police. He was due for promotion, he was promoted. He could have been continued in the same post as in the past. Many such officers who were promoted were allowed to continue in the same post. But apparently they did not want to keep him there because the panel committee which was set up to inquire the role of the police in the matter, they passed some adverse remarks against him, and they doubted his qualities of his leadership. These are very secondary questions. The first important question is, why did they allow it to happen? Knowing fully well 1 week in advance that the terrorists had started, they were going to attack Mumbai, and they were using their telephones which were being monitored by them. Why they were not drowned in the sea itself, or why they were not captured alive? It was quite possible for Mumbai police and the Western Naval Command. That is the most important question that we must ask. Now, this incident is not a solitary incident. This has been going on for ages, as I told you. So in my book, the other aspect I have included is the beginning of the communal riots that started. Why the communal riots were started in the first place, and who started it, and who instigated these communal riots. In the first chapter, as many speakers have said, whether the Brahmins, are they against Muslims? It is because of the Brahmins and the RSS these communal riots the series of communal riots have been happening. But are the Brahmins really against Muslims? Or were they against the Muslims? In the past, if you see the history of India, it is the Brahmins who invited the foreign Muslim rulers because they found them to be more convenient to control the society, Indian society. So when Mughals were ruling India, it were the Brahmins who were managing their affairs. If you see Akbar's Darbar, they were Navratna. Out of Navratna, 5 were Brahmins. Then in Tipu Sultan's Darbar, all his affairs were being managed by Brahmins. Even Aurangzeb's Darbar, at least 50% of the their darbaris were Brahmins. And there is not a single incident during medieval history where these Brahmins started some movements against these Muslim rulers and they tried to overthrow them. Not a single incident. Whereas they were more powerful in those days than they are today. Still, there is not a single recorded incident of their initiating any movement against Muslim rulers. Even thereafter, at least till the death of Aurangzeb, there was not a single communal riot. After the death of Aurangzeb, there were stray communal riots, but they were localized and they were triggered off by some local causes, and they remained localized, and they were not planned communal riots. But after 1893, there was deliberate attempts to cause communal riots and to provoke the Hindus to take revenge against Muslims. Why did they do so? I have explained in my book. It is because of the movements first started by Mahatma Phule, Jyotiba Phule, supported by Shahuji Maharaj, Sayajirao Gaikwad, and later continued by Ramaswamy Periyar, Dr. Ambedkar, and social reformists like such social reformists. Because of them, their position, they felt that their position was threatened. They had the apprehension that today or tomorrow the British will go away, and once the British go away, these Hindus or these common people will not spare us, these Dalits will not spare us. So they wanted to divert their attention from the main issue, and that is why they provoked these communal riots and intentionally engineered these communal riots, and those riots that started from 1893 continued still today. And these riots were responsible for the partition of this country also. So that I have pointed out in my first chapter. Later, they controlled the media fully, almost fully, and the IB, because these two organizations, the IB and the media, are the very powerful organs. They can mold the public opinion. So they got hold of them. They gained full control over these organizations, and they misused them for their benefits. But after the fall of Babri Masjid, demolition of Babri Masjid, and after Gujarat carnage, they were discredited universally. And people started suspecting the roles of the Brahmin organization in all these riots. So they changed their strategy. In chapter number 2, I have said that they changed gears from communalism to boogie of Muslim terrorism. From 2003 onwards, they started creating anti-Muslim atmosphere with the help of IB and the media. The IB was giving some unfounded information, intelligence about some impending attack on VIPs or the religious places or some vital installations. And media was giving it publicity without any verification. So I have quoted at least 53 news items in my book, which shows how IB was intentionally giving this false information and how media was giving it a very wide publicity without any verification. In fact, intelligence is never publicized. It is supposed to be kept secret. It's a confidential information. It needs to be worked out secretly. And whatever is the plan of the terrorists was to be foiled. But instead they started giving this information just to create anti-Muslim atmosphere. But when this information was given, as I told you in the beginning, they were preparing their own plans, they were training their own camps, they were collecting the arms, ammunition and explosives. but those news items appeared in very insignificant newspapers that I have collected and given in chapter number 2. Chapter number 3 is very important. After their preparation was over, they started explosions all over India, bomb blasts. And when the bomb blast started, even from the first day, the IB would intervene. In fact, IB has no role in the investigation. IB was supposed to collect the intelligence. IB was not supposed to investigate into the matter. But if we carefully read the newspapers, you will find that in each and every blast case, IB was interfering, IB was taking over the investigation abruptly. And from the first day, even before the reverberations of the blast died down, or even before the blood of the victims dries up, there used to be items that Simi was involved and this organization or that organization was involved. And from second day onwards, they would start arresting Muslim boys on the basis of some manipulated and fabricated evidence. What was the evidence against them? Either their confessional statement or so-called seizures of some explosives or the records of their mobile telephones. And to fill in the missing links, they would kill people as encounters, and from their persons they would recover some diaries or some other material or some explosives to convince the people that whatever investigation they have been doing was correct. I have analyzed 9 cases in chapter 3. Out of them, in 6 cases, they have killed people to complete their investigation. And if we read the charge sheet, any professional officer can laugh at it. There is hardly any evidence, still the charge sheet have been sent. But what Karkare found in his investigation that most of the cases in which Muslim boys were arrested were the handiwork of this group, Abhinav Bharat group. In the case of Ajmer Sharif, their involvement was disclosed. In the case of Samjhauta Express, their involvement was disclosed. Not only merely disclosed, but it was supported by many of the witnesses, their own colleagues. In Makkah Masjid Hyderabad case, their involvement was disclosed. In Parbhani, Jalna and Purna, their involvement was disclosed. In all such cases, in both the cases of Malegaon and in Nanded, their involvement was disclosed. And in the recent blast case of Goa, again all the same forces. The Sanatan Samsthan, another organization, but now in the investigation, the Goa officer has while briefing the press, told that these Sanatan Samstha people were also in touch with Colonel Purohit and Sadhvi. That means the same group was causing blasts, blaming them on the Muslims, and they carrying on their big time plan to overthrow this government and to establish the Hindu government or the Brahminist government under the garb of Hindu government. Then chapter number 9 and 10 I have devoted, because 5 to 8 are only about this case that I have briefed you in the beginning. 9 is about the role of Maharashtrian Brahmins. Since beginning, the role of Maharashtra Brahmins is very dubious in communal matters. What they have done since ages, or at least since independence, I have narrated in chapter 9. Chapter number 10 The title of the chapter is Charge Sheet Against the IB. What IB has done since independence, that I have done. There are 22 charges against the IB, and that is a very interesting chapter. And last chapter, chapter number 11, that Mr. Veeramani now dwelt at length, was about the remedial measures, what to be. If we want to save our country or save our society, save our constitution, what needs to be done at different levels. What needs to be done by the government, by the judiciary, by the society, by the secularists, by the Hindus, by the Muslims, and even by the Brahmins. That I have mentioned in the last chapter. So if all such measures are taken, there is some hope. But since this book has been published, there is a stunning silence in all the media. Because, as I told you, all the media is controlled by them. Especially in Maharashtra, nobody wants to talk on this subject. Even when our book was released, hardly 2-3 papers gave very insignificant publicity to that program. Not a single paper, barring one Pune Mirror of, which is a pullout of Times of India, no paper has given a review of this book. They do not want to criticize this book. As somebody pointed out, this is the conspiracy of silence. They want to kill it by the conspiracy of silence. So I was really getting depressed in Maharashtra. But after coming to the land of this land of Periyar, I am feeling my morale has gone up. This book, as Mr. Rajshekhar says, is a dynamite. It's a real dynamite. It's a revolution. But this revolution, I hope this revolution can take place only in this place and nowhere else. So, thanking you for calling me here and felicitating me and boosting my morale, I thank you very much. My special thanks to Mr. Veeramani, Mr. Rajshekhar. With Rajshekhar, they are very veteran leaders. I must doubly thank Mr. Rajshekhar for promoting my book. Since my book has been published, in every issue of Dalit Voice, he publishes something about my book. So it is getting promoted. So I thank them once again. I thank you and close my speech. Thank you very much.